Okay. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. At first, I want to thank organizing committee and Professor Mahtab Rezvi for invitation, and thank you for the opportunity to testify today about comparative analysis of international North-South Transport Corridor and China's Belt and Road Initiative in Central Asia and South Caucasus. Thank you. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, one of the first countries with which Russia tried to strengthen its relation was India. These two non-Western countries implemented steps for restore their strategic partnership and recaptured their positions as great powers. Among the earliest and most ambitious projects that they initiated was the International North-South Transport Corridor. And how to... Okay, which one? Okay, thank you. Russia and India, which one? Russia and India involved Iran as well due to its location and especially important crossroads. Later, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, and other states also joined to this project. Russia and India thus created the foundation for a road and sea corridor linking their countries with each other from Iran, Central Asia, and South Caucasus. Let's speak about the Russian interest in this corridor. In proposing the International North-South Transport Corridor, Russia aimed to create an alternative to the transport corridor Europe, Caucasus, Asia of the European Union, which was also launched after the collapse of the Soviet Union to connect Europe with the South Caucasus and Asia without passing through Russian territory. Russian decision makers also thought that China's growing export-driven economy could utilize this transportation corridor, such as the International North-South Transport Corridor. But eventually, Beijing had its own geopolitical initiative, building a huge trade infrastructure network that developed into the Belt and Road Initiative, which includes the Silk Road Economic Belt, which consists of 6 economic corridors for the Eurasian mainland, observing the need for the International North-South Transport Corridor. For now, Russia and the other members of the International North-South Transport Corridor hope that as a result of economic growth of India, the corridors will be used more. Before the pandemic, the World Economic Forum forecast that India's economic growth 7.5% a year over the next decade. In addition, given worsening Sino-Indian relations, New Delhi might be more interested in developing the International North-South Transport Corridor as a counterweight to the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Because of the Western sanctions, Russia is losing its markets in the US, Europe, South Caucasus, Japan, and other states. For this reason, Russia needs to strengthen its economic and trade relations and connectivity with Iran, India, and rising southern market. For reaching out them, the main conduit is the International North-South Transport Corridor. Let's also speak about India's interest in this corridor. India sees the International North-South Transport Corridor as an important road to Russia, Europe, and Central Asia that passes Pakistan and strengthens its cooperation with Russia and other members of the project. Mumbai will thus be connected to Iran's railway and highway network from the maritime road. India agreed to invest up to $645 million to develop the Iranian deep-sea port of Chabahar on the Gulf of Oman, and only 300 kilometers from, which is far from Gwadar in Pakistan, only 300 kilometers. New Delhi, meanwhile, convinced the US not to impose any sanction on Indian investment in Chabahar, despite Washington's economic isolation of Iran. Chabahar will be used by India as a staging, and it is being used as a staging point for its development initiatives in landlocked Afghanistan's development and for strengthening India's positions against China and Pakistan. New Delhi is also interested in securing the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India or Trans-Afghanistan pipeline. The development of Chabahar and India-Iran-Afghanistan corridors represent a unique case of Iran and US interests converging as both nations are intent on improving the economic and political security of Afghanistan. In sum, India is trying to use the international North-South transport corridor not only to create an economic corridor and develop relations with Russia and Europe, but also to reach out Central Asia and South Caucasus. India is interested in Central Asia as an alternative source of energy supply, as an important transport corridor, and to serve as a huge market for Indian goods. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, New Delhi recorded great progress in its relations with Central Asia. India managed an agreement with Russia to use the air base in Tajikistan and place its air force units there for participation in joint fight against terrorism. As a way of reaching out, India proposed the Connect Central Asia strategy and India-Central Asia dialogue. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi activated the Connect Central Asia policy and visited all Central Asian countries. In 2015, signing memorandum of understandings with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan on strengthening military cooperation. Yes, and here I have also about the main roads. Here we have a map where you can see all roads. There is 3 main roads: the Caspian Road, which is connected Russia with Iranian ports and Caspian Sea; the Western Road, which is connecting Russia and Iran from Azerbaijan; and also Armenia is building its north-south transport corridor for being an important part in this project. And I'm already concluding. Yes, let's go to conclusion. While the international north-south transport corridors brings advantages over traditional goods roads for lower cost and shorter distances, development of required infrastructures could be faster, especially compared with the China Silk Road economic belt. There is no driving political or financial force behind the INSTEC in the way that China has recently pushed forward the Silk Road economic belt. Instead, Beijing created dedicated financial institutions and instruments like the Silk Road Fund and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to keep up the tempo of development. In turn, international north-south transport corridors projects are mostly financed through loans provided by the ADB, the Russian Development Bank, and other institutions, or by the INSTEC member investing directly in their own or their neighbors' projects. If China's initiative is being developed in a planned and organized way, the INSTEC is proceeding in an ad hoc manner. However, there is a trend that all states are using transportation infrastructure that is being built for the international north-south transport corridor and Silk Road economic belt. Therefore, 2 projects also complement each other and important for the Eurasian continent. It is worth mentioning that there are several ongoing conflicts among South Caucasian and Central Asian states which complicate transportation interconnectivity between North and South. The Russia-Ukrainian conflict makes transportation from eastern Ukraine problematic, and of course sanctions on Russia are problematic. But here are also some kind of opportunities as well, because Russia cannot work with the West, and it is looking forward to strengthen its relations with India, with southern market, and making new investments. For instance, recently Russia proposed that it will make 1.5 billion investment in Iran for creating rushed railway connection from Astara to Rasht. In this way, India from Chabar, Iranian ports, and Azerbaijani railways will be connected to Russia. Thank you. I tried to